And now, to Will's rant.
Okay, here we go. Tonight we're going to talk about the Electoral College, that great American mechanism for determining the President of the United States and his or her vice presidential running mate. Now, here is one college where you don't have to worry about your GPA. All you have to be is politically active and be capable of working the room at party conventions to get a shot at your party's nominations as an elector. And when was this great college established? Well, it's nothing more than a great relic of the 18th century, provided by the nation's founding fathers in recognition that the principle of majority rule, fundamental to true democracy, was not to be trusted. After all, Jefferson and his buddies couldn't have provided the general populace, the common man, with direct power. This could lead to mob rule. No, US elections need to be determined by individual states, not by individuals. So it's the state vote, not the popular vote, that counts. And if you don't think that's a big deal, just ask Al Gore. But there's a problem here. You can't just count up which candidate won the most states and declare a presidential winner, because each state is different. For example, about 36 million people live in California, while only around 3 million people can be convinced to live in Kansas. In order to be fair, there has to be a way for California's state vote for president to count more than Kansas's state vote. The solution? Each state has its own number of electors that are chosen to sit on the Electoral College. How do they figure out the number? Easy. Each state gets one elector for each of its 2 senators and one additional elector for each district in the state. So, in case any of you kids have lost me at this point, I'll give you a good example. So, California has 2 electors because there are 2 senators, and then they get another 53 electors because that's how many districts they have. Total, 55 electors from California in the Electoral College. Now, Kansas, on the other hand, has 2 electors and 2 senators as well, and a whopping 4 more electors in its districts, for an impressive total of 6 electors. Oh, why? Hello there. So, where were we? Oh, right, we were talking about the Electoral College. So to get back to what I was saying earlier, the Electoral College consists of 538 electors. So the candidate who wins 270 Electoral College votes obtains the majority. And I knew we were going to get majority rule in here somewhere. And that person becomes the next president sworn into office the following January 20th. So there. By the way, did anybody notice that a presidential candidate could face a real problem getting elected without winning at least some of the major big states, like California with 55 electors, or Texas with 34, or even New York with 31, or Illinois or Pennsylvania with 21 each? Oh, and what about the small issue that Alaska, which has far fewer residents per electoral vote than the national average, actually provides each individual voter with about twice as much influence as the average American voter? Well, given the obvious intellectual superiority of certain Alaskans in the news lately, no one should really be concerned about that. Right, Sarah? Well, there you have it. The Electoral College as a simple, uncomplicated, and democratic mechanism for electing a president. And that's all for November 15th, 2010. Oh, hey, Kathy. So that's all for today, folks. Thank you for watching another episode of the Kathy Brock Report, and we'll see you in 15 seconds for question period. Have a good day.
Oh, hello there. My name is Patrick Smith, and as a former Canadian ambassador to Italy, I've been asked to share a few of my thoughts on its electoral system. Let's see what I can recall. My tenure was really short-lived. I had to take stress leave after just a couple short years. It was the hardest job I ever had. In the Foreign Service, we refer to working with Italy as El Diablo. Whereas most of my colleagues around the world were able to establish close, stable relationships with their governments in their assigned countries, I never stood a chance. Due to Italy's proportional representation electoral system, the government was and is constantly supported by volatile coalitions with an unusually high number of parties per coalition. The coalitions were therefore very unstable and prone to being dissolved. As a result, the people of Italy were always at the polls. It seemed like an election was always happening. Between 1948 and 1979, Italy had 36 different governments, with an average tenure of just 10 months. I had staffers around the clock trying to help me memorize the names of ingoing and outgoing ministers, but I just couldn't do it. The stress was too hard. So eventually, yeah. Would I do it all again? Probably not. I've since requested only to be posted at nations that have first past the post, and I'm thinking about sticking with that.